One of the things I'm concerned about is that middle column and steel that is basically laying downhill. I don't know how good the video will show it, but if you look from the other side, this whole thing is lifted up, and here it's tilted out and it's twisted differently up there. Again, mainly I'm thinking because these are all cut, some evenly, some unevenly, so this piece does not have a chance to hold still. Then there are 4 bolts missing here. There's only 2 bolts holding it for this whole span of 2 columns. There's more places for bolts here, which should have been included. Piles and piles of these are found not necessarily installed. The biggest concerns, see, for example, there, the biggest concerns, but I'll look at the manual and see if only 2 bolts are required. Some of the biggest concerns are, yes, this that he said would be shortened because we changed the door size, which is fine. He could have told us that, and we would have maybe tried to order them here since it's been months since he could get here. There's not even a nut on that part of the structure up there. There's only one installed. The other one is just a screw and no nut. And even when we get here on this side, which appears to be, go up, oh, there it is. They just bent a piece of sheet metal to attach those. I need to look in the manual to see if that's correct. That nut is not all the way down on the screw to keep that column from shifting at all. Of course, the miter cuts are all completely off, but yeah, cosmetic, whatever. We'll pretend that that's okay. I have to check all the nuts and bolts because some are missing in places. So again, this is a pretty big gap on what I would call like the stud piece. 2 bolts when there clearly overlaps for at least 6 bolts or even 8 to hold those pieces. I guess that's just graffiti. Up there, the gap between the 2, you can see there's daylight between right in those 2. Looks like they should have been pushed closer together so that you could attach the 2. So even where the door size is the same, it's just held together with little pieces of thin metal. Basically just 2 tiny screws. And then these 2 nuts on a thin piece of metal holding that whole side panel there. Same thing here. You can see that this one is not even screwed in. This is the 12-foot door, so they should have had the pieces they needed to span that distance and screw those in. I'm not sure what's going to happen with those 2 pieces on the end right here. It's the questions that if Frank had ever been here or was coming as he said he was, that we could get answered. So yes, as soon as I have time, which I will do this afternoon, start printed out the instructions. See, there's a cross over there that's no bolts in any of that, which I think contributes to that weakness. This has a cross bolt, I don't believe a cross angle iron, which looks like angle iron to me. That one over there does not. There's no explanation for why that's not the same, and when I look back at the inventory, I'm trying to determine, did I have more of this angle iron that he's saying is gone now. I gotta look at the photos that I took and all the inventory parts. The number one question I had that I was gonna get answered this weekend as I handed him a check was, why are these so slack? I really don't believe that having 3 to 4 feet of slack in each of these cross cables is correct, because what possible good could they do? And they're that way on both sides. Huge amounts of slack in these cables. I mean, it goes up, down 2 or 3 feet. This cable up here, there's an X for the ceiling cables, but there's not. One of these is down, either because it's too short or they didn't have a bolt. They're not explaining it to me. But it's definitely a question that I have. And I see the angle iron that is up there as struts, so to speak, which again, there's one on that side. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. Here's one on this side. So as long as only one is due, that's probably fine, but it's a question that either the manual or Frank could have answered had he been here to answer the questions. So he told me he was coming Friday. Like all the other days, he's not coming. He didn't give me any information on whether he could or couldn't find angle iron, which appears to be readily available in Maine, available and easy to get here, or the double sticky tape. I don't even know what kind he needs, but I have a feeling, I mean, there's some up already that's falling, which may or may not be his fault. Or it's not falling, it's just on crooked. I'm just wondering how much more he needs, whether I can get it locally. I could have had it here today if he would have informed me that he needed it to be here. So I disagree that this is complete. I think it's substantially complete, and I'm happy to pay, substantially towards that, but I'm certainly disappointed that when he told me for, I don't know, 5th time that he was going to be here, that he is now withdrawing and going somewhere else and then trying to blame it on me.